We've never been on video at the same time in the same place before.
Yeah, I know.
You realize that?
I know.
Like, been here for, I've been on the channel for a couple months, and like,
I've been for a couple of years.
yeah, that's never happened. So we should probably rectify that.
We just came back from the Note 7 event. We obviously have our first impressions, and I think it's time to change that.
It's time to fix it.
Yeah.
I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell for Pocket Now.
I'm Jaime Rivera, and let's discuss what we liked the most and didn't like about the Galaxy Note 7. I think it's only fair that we begin this video by the things that we actually liked.
Yeah, let's start positive.
Because we were really skeptical when we walked into this event. We kind of already knew what was going to happen. Yeah. We were underwhelmed over the lack of specifications in theory. But then we actually had the opportunity to hold the Note 7, to see all the features that were added. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you've ever held the Note 5, probably what I love the most about the Note 7 is the build, the design. Sure, it looks like a Galaxy S7 Edge in every way, but that's actually a good thing.
Well, and it's great watching the evolution over the S7 Edge.
Right.
That symmetrical rounding of the glass on both sides, I thought was a really nice design touch. It shows that Samsung isn't quite as stagnant as some of our commenters might feel that they are. Oh, it's just an S7. There are these tiny little attention to those details across the whole phone.
Actually, what I liked the most is I didn't even feel the metal holding it.
Right. Although it was funny listening to someone complain about that too. So it's definitely going to be a personal preference thing, but I thought that was a really nice way to keep the design fresh, keep it feeling new.
Yeah, I feel that probably, again, Samsung phones are beautiful lately. They've come up with great designs. I don't think there was really more to be done with this design. I'm actually happy that they pulled the S7 Edge and just added more features here. That's probably what I like the most.
Well, and we definitely move on from that weird split that we had last year with the Note and the S6 Edge Plus, where they were sort of mirror images of each other. You had rounded glass on one side and flat glass on the other, and the Note walks away from that completely. It's its own unique entry into the Samsung Galaxy ecosystem.
Samsung Galaxy ecosystem, that's the perfect segue for the next one.
But of course, no phone is perfect. And walking away from even a first impressions, there are definitely some things that I think will give some of our viewers some concerns over a device this expensive. You know, it's a laptop, a low-end laptop priced mobile device. And initially it was just the funny situation of trying to shoot in a really packed environment.
The lighting was terrible.
The lighting was terrible, and we did our best to not like blind you guys with reflections all over the place, but it was really that issue. They had people standing at every station just so they could wipe the phone down every time you touched it, and that's not really how these devices are gonna age. No. And so you can watch in our videos like the progression of fingerprint smudges.
and
really
you and I are
quickly.
smudge central, by the way. It was horrible.
We're sweaty, manly dudes.
Yeah, but I don't know. For me, I'm already used to the glass on glass. I actually like it. I'm used to the whole wiping and stuff. What I don't like is the fact that, you know, the Note was always the vanguard phone. It was the phone which Samsung used to showcase the latest version of Android. It was the phone that was used to showcase the latest hardware. It actually allowed you to continue using that Note whenever the next S device came, and you were still proud that you had a very powerful phone. You weren't worried that the Galaxy S8 or Galaxy S7 would overshadow what phone you had. And sadly, the Note 7 is, again, a Note 5. It pretty much pulls on everything that the S lineup comes with, only with added features. That's probably what I didn't like about it.
I absolutely agree. There's a perception of what the Note used to represent, especially like reaching the pinnacle at the Note 4. Yeah. And that script got flipped with the Galaxy S6 and the Note 5. I'm so happy we don't have to do the math on S6, Note 5. It's now just 7 across the board. So that we'll give them a thumbs up for the naming. Yeah. But absolutely agree. You do walk away from this feeling like the Note pedigree has been somewhat diluted. And with you're picking up a Note now, what's going to be coming out next year, early next year, which is going to leapfrog the Note again, and in buying a phone at the tail end of the year, as you're getting into those back to school sales, maybe this is a holiday purchase, something like that, knowing that something else is right around the corner, I'm not saying it should, but it does give someone a little pause before dropping that much cash on a premier flagship device.
It's pretty much what happened with the Galaxy S7 Edge. I mean, I was really happy with my Note 5, and then Samsung just completely blew the Note 5 off the map with the S7 Edge, up to the point where I just stopped caring about it. So really, for me, I feel that Samsung could have tried harder. Obviously, certain chipsets aren't ready. I mean, there isn't any phone with a Snapdragon 823 yet.
Or 821.
Or 821. So I think that this was not really Samsung's fault. But as reviewers, and obviously that's the problem, we live in a bubble. We live in the bubble where we know that we're going to review the next S8. So probably this for us was a bad thing, but not necessarily for the average consumer. This does not mean that the Note 7 was a bad phone in any way. No. It's just, I guess from our perspective, it could have been better.
Well, and it's also just, it becomes an issue of timing and what your budget and your needs are.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that the Note 7 is going to be one of the best phones of 2016, that it's going to be one of the top sellers of 2016. Those really aren't our concerns. It's for those members of our audience, especially the folks out there who are responsible for making the purchasing decisions in their family, like you're the resource that people turn to when they have tech questions because you watch our videos and we're awesome. So in those kinds of situations, that's where we kind of feel like there needs to be that little bit of advice. And that's, I think it's going to be a really precious situation for a lot of people, given the price point on this phone, knowing what else is out there in the ecosystem. And if you don't have need for those specific features that the Note brings to the table, you're perfectly well served with a Galaxy S7 or an S7 Edge.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. And speaking of the signature element that makes a Note, let's talk about the S Pen.
Yeah.
I am one of those users that does not care about it. I just never use
a stylus.
I never use it. But I think Samsung has progressed the S Pen to a lot of really cool things. First of all, I love that they made the tip.
It's a finer point.
It's a finer point. If you've ever, do you remember those old markers, those marker pens from back in the day, from the 90s? I loved writing in those things, and this S Pen feels just like that.
Yeah, it's a really good hand feel.
It feels like if you're not, like if you grab the Apple Pencil, you feel like if you're writing on glass. It feels unnatural. I feel that the S Pen is probably, this S Pen particularly, is probably the one that mimics the feeling of writing with a marker best.
Absolutely.
And I also love the fact that, Samsung brings a lot of the old features of the Note 5 that I like being able to write on the display with it being off. But what I like the most is they finally consolidated apps like Scrapbook that I never used, S Notes. Samsung had this crazy suite of applications, and now it's just one. Samsung Notes.
Yeah, genius move, especially because, I mean, that's definitely been a Samsung criticism in our audiences for a while, is the Samsung bloat. And I think for the Note, the S Pen application suite was a perfect example of a number of features that people were probably not going to use cohesively, but they might like one little piece. You know, we might like this one little application, so it made perfect sense. Smash them all into the same little bucket, and that way you don't have to have a folder just for your S Pen apps.
Yeah.
They already did that for you.
Yeah. I feel that Samsung, I just think that they took it to the next level. I'm not saying that it's going to be more useful. I love that translator feature.
Yeah.
You know, it's
a nice feature.
It's a nice feature. I feel that, again, the more that Samsung adds functionality to the S Pen, the better it's going to be. Like signing PDFs on the Note 5 was awesome on its own.
Great.
This is coming with this new Note. And again, whatever the company can continue doing into making the phone useful, because that's when you move things from being a gimmick to actually being something that people will use.
Yeah. The entire year for Samsung has really been focusing on those details, the attention to details, and S Pen was another perfect example of how they could refine something which was already pretty functional for a number of people out there. So the translator feature, if you're a productivity-focused business traveler, something like that's going to come in handy, and you're definitely going to be making use of that. That's what the Note, the pedigree of the Note, is designed around, is an uncompromising mobile office solution in the palm of your hand that fits in your pocket.
Yeah.
And it's all the other little details that go into that too. Like they addressed PenGate.
Yeah.
We actually tested that out on the show floor.
Okay, so we got this email from Tony. we're right at the event, and we get this email from Tony, and he's like, "Dude, can you please test that S Pen backwards?" And I'm like, "I am not getting kicked out of the show."
So while his back was turned, I grabbed him and I gave it a
This
shot.
guy totally did it, and I'm like, "All right, fine, we didn't get kicked out."
But it was the way they addressed it though was a beautiful attention to those little details, which I feel we didn't get last year with the S6 or with the Note 5, because the body changes were so significant. There were a lot of these little rough edges around each of those phones. We don't have that with Samsung this year, and that's where I think we really need to celebrate them. It's less exciting because we don't have the significant changes in design and aesthetics, but you end up with a better device. You end up with a more polished device, and that I really want to applaud Samsung for. Also, the last point on S Pen for me was making sure that the pen itself was water and dust resistant.
Yeah.
So that the entire device, the entire little ecosystem of smartphone is survivable in little bits of water, you know, for dust ingress protection, things like that. It's by no means rugged, but you're a business traveler, you're on the go, you're using this in really harsh conditions, you need to rely on this thing. So those little details matter when you're on the go, and you can't have something like that fail on you.
And I think that's like the perfect segue for the next segment indeed. The surprises.
And of course, with being the hip, cool, savvy gadget guys that we are, it's always nice when a device can surprise us, you know, in that first impressions. You think you go in knowing everything that you need to know about the device, but there's always one or two little things that take you by surprise, and that's what makes this job so much fun. And for me, it was holding the Note 5 and holding the Note 7 and knowing how similar they were in terms of spec and screen size, and seeing that Samsung still managed to make the Note 7 a little bit narrower.
Yeah.
You know, those wraparound edges really do contribute to making this not feel like the behemoth that previous Note phones have felt like in the past.
Yeah.
And then I was very surprised at how well the iris scanner did. I was training it on the floor, crazy lighting, and it worked. I mean, it just worked. I mean, that's always a happy situation when you don't know how something like that's going to happen.
Here's the thing about the iris scanner. I was recording the recap 2 weeks ago, and you know, one of the commenters immediately came in and said, the purpose of the iris scanner is awesome. If you're in the winter, you're wearing gloves, you don't have to take your gloves off, wipe your fingers because they're sweaty, and then unlock your phone to be able to interact with it. You can simply lift it up to your face and unlock it. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best comment of the year. This is so true. Why? This is awesome. But there are other purposes. Like, for example, I know cases of people that have their smartphones and, you know, they authenticate with their fingerprints, but they probably add their kids' fingerprints to certain things just because, you know, they lend their phones to the kids. And the iris functionality and the way Samsung Knox is built is you can literally only use one pair of irises on this phone. So if there are even more secret things or private things that you want to hold in that Samsung private folder, the cool thing is you will know that there are certain things that only you can unlock.
Absolutely.
I was really surprised by that, and again, just how fast it worked.
Oh yeah.
I was like, you know, I was knowing Samsung, the Samsung that we knew from the Galaxy S3, Galaxy S4, I was going to be like, oh my God, and all we need is the tap dancers at the end of the event, and that's just going to throw everything off. But no.
No, we thankfully didn't get tap dancers.
You know, in our impressions from Barcelona, in our impressions from This Unpacked, this is a very different Samsung.
Yeah.
This is a company that's more focused in making products useful. I am really surprised, and I feel that the company really deserves the popularity that it's gained this year, mainly because it's dedicated itself to refining what we have.
Yeah, and very humble in their press conferences, too.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have a Samsung talking about this is the most amazeballs things ever. We have a Samsung that's out there. We're listening to you.
A very humble
company. We're addressing
company.
your concerns. We brought back features that you said you cared about from previous phones. And this also really demonstrates what the Note represents. You know, like fingerprints, that's maybe not always the best password if you think about it. Like everything you touch has your password on it. Yeah. So for a consumer-facing product, there are definitely some applications for an iris scanner that'll be fun. But this is really like if you have corporate concerns, business concerns, government concerns that you need to lock down information, that's where this becomes a lot more impressive, is that you have multiple modes of authentication. So that's what pushes it beyond just being a gimmick.
Yeah.
You know, it's the best of both worlds. Fingerprint, iris. If you just want a PIN code, you can just go with the PIN code.
You can choose. You're not obligated to use it, but these are always things that are nice to have. And I think that's the best segue for the question of this video, because we would really love to know what you think about the Note 7. Is this really a phone that appeals to you? I know that it's going to be a tough buy, mainly because this phone is literally worth $900.
Yeah.
$900. It's expensive. Yeah, this is not an inexpensive Note.
And I know a number of people in our audience are going to look at things like screen resolution, the processor, RAM, camera prowess, and they're ready for that really claw and tooth comparison between a Galaxy S7 Edge.
Yeah, but we would really love to know, would you be interested in buying the Note 7? Does it appeal to you, or are you going to wait for the S8 with all the rumors of 4K and everything? Please leave us a comment down below. We cannot wait to respond to your comments and hear what you think. That is it for our first impression video of the Galaxy Note 7. So far, we were surprised, but obviously there is much more to come. Our review units should be in very soon, and there is a lot more coverage coming very soon. So make sure you follow us on social media and hit that subscribe button down below for more videos like this one. You can follow me on Twitter, Jaime_Rivera.
You can find me at Some Gadget Guy.
And we will see you on the next video very soon.